everybody, and welcome to the Weekend Big Show. I'm Chuck Ramsey, the Law Dog, here with you, streaming live on Facebook. And it is not a bad Friday in June, late June, in Western Oklahoma, where I am, and hopefully also in Normantown, where my partner, Jeremy Schroeder, ruler of the airwaves, abides. The Jeremy abides in Normantown. So, Jeremy, good to see you. And, man, thank you for, under the circumstances you're dealing with, I thank you so much for stopping in. I knew you got to celebrate the championship. We did an episode on Sunday night, was it?
Or it was Sunday night, yes.
Yeah, and the days have kind of blended in, but you have come back in strong fashion and fighting through some irritation here and there, and you're with us today, and we're glad.
Well, it's great to be here. Obviously, I'm not in a chair right now. I'm sitting in a bed.
Yeah.
It's a PSA for all you young guys. You think you're young and cool now and healthy and hip, but get that shingles vaccine, guys.
Yeah.
Get that vaccine. You know, they say get it when you're 50. I just turned 50, and my present for my 50th birthday was just a raging case of shingles, and it's terrible.
Dude, that was like waiting on you.
Yeah, it was like, 50.
Yeah. Bing, 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 bing.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's as rough as I've seen, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. 2 to 4 weeks recovery time. So we're probably in week 2, and it still feels like it still feels bad.
That was the shingles virus waiting on you to turn 50.
Yeah. Get the shots.
Yeah, and I got mine, but I got mine probably at like 52 or 53, and consider myself very lucky. My wife, she had a small bout with it. She was very fortunate that hers wasn't. But, man, you talk to people who go through that full-blown shingles episode, and it is rough.
It is just terrible.
Well,
terrible.
Thoughts and prayers for you, my brother. And
I'm swinging back through. I've discovered tea tree oil and lidocaine, and it's a miracle.
Tea tree is a good thing. I shampoo what little hair I have left with it, but sometimes if I've got a bug bite or something like that, I'll get a little extra lather from the tea tree going, and that's some wonderful stuff. And then lidocaine, that's been an old staple for years. But man, fighting through that, I feel for you, because it's got it. I've always been told it's one of the worst.
Yeah, you don't want it. I pray for everybody listening that you never have to deal with this, because I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
Well, I think they do the vaccines at Walgreens. I mean,
yeah,
I think that's where I got mine. So, anyways, but man, I'll say this: that's probably been the only damper on your week, considering that your Oklahoma City Thunder are world champions after they closed out Indiana in Game 7, and we talked in ad nauseum about that on the post-game show Sunday night. It was an exciting time. I was happy for Oklahoma City. I was happy for the team and all of the supporters, all the players and fans, and they showed out on Tuesday at the parade, I would say.
Man, one benefit of having this terrible affliction was I got to watch Game 7, which I wasn't going to get to, and I got to lay here and watch the parade, and the city turned out. I know the honks on social media that just hate everything small market and everything Oklahoma City Thunder, throwing up video and photos of the city 2.5, 3 hours before the parade even started. Say, they don't care, they didn't show up. The city showed up. Between 500 600,000 on a Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good turnout for a city the size. When you have a metropolitan area that is probably about 1.25 million, and you get roughly half of that to show out for a parade.
Oh yeah,
and it was well behaved. I think I saw one guy getting pulled out and arrested by, I don't know if it was county deputies or Oklahoma City's finest, but one guy I saw getting cuffed up and taken out before anything really happened. But city comported itself well behaved. It was a good celebration.
Yeah, I mean, I know for a fact, and here's what's interesting, Jeremy. I talked to all in full transparency. Everybody that watches for the most part knows that I'm former Oklahoma City police officer. Oh, hang on.
Got a little doggo barking in the background.
Yeah, saw a picture on social media of some buddies of mine that I used to work with, and they were working the parade, and that's not normally their detail. And when you're a detective, you very rarely have to put on a uniform. So you might let your uniform lapse or, things like that.
Outgrow it a little bit.
So I see these two guys in what looks like the current uniform with the shell cover vest and things like that. And I thought, they had to be pretty confident to go out and update the uniform as to whether or not they would be working a parade. So I think a lot of folks knew that had a feeling that, and I'm not making conspiratorial allegations, but I'm just that it was scripted. But I think a lot of people had faith in the Thunder.
Well, they hit all the landmarks during the season. First team to 40 wins before 20 losses. Every team that's ever done that has won a title. Highest net rating of all time, highest point differential of all time, most double-digit victories of all time during a season. It was historical. It was fantastic. It was a dream season, and the event at the arena was really good for the season ticket holders. If they would have filled that thing out, that would have been crazy. But Andrew Wiggins' speech was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah,
he could preach.
Yeah, he could preach. He's got a future in media somewhere. He could be the next Antonio Daniels.
Yeah,
guy is. Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool, man. After seeing all of my teams win a title in my lifetime, I got to say this is probably second. Which is, I'm sorry, the Cubs, 2016.
okay.
A lifetime of futility. They finally won it. That parade.
How many Cubs games have you been to in your lifetime?
0. But it's hard for me to get to Chicago.
I get that. I'm just saying I'm not questioning your ranking system. It's in your heart. But if I'm in your situation, this outweighs that. And because you and I, we didn't know each other, but in 2000 we got to experience the joy of an OU national title.
Yeah. And I had already experienced the joy of an OU national title in '85 as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Yeah, and this is still fresh,
Sure.
Perspective will probably put that, because this is our, this is my city.
Parade inside my city.
Won a NBA finals.
Yeah.
Through it all, after the KD debacle, after the rebuild, the quickest, turnaround from rock bottom to championship in probably league history, which rock bottom was 27 wins with a bunch of
2021.
Yeah, with a bunch of kids that I don't think are in the league anymore. And then, was SGA was on that team. So yeah,
He's been there
SGA.
since 2019, hasn't he?
2020. He was 2019, 2020. He was a free agent acquisition by Presti after the draft. He played in no. He came at the same time as Dort, because he was there with Paul George trade. Yeah, he was there with Paul. The bubble season.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Those two, I think, are the only leftovers from that. Was Kenny Hustle on that squad?
That was a good question, and seemed like Trey Mann was on that squad back then, wasn't he?
Yeah, man, that one hurt to let go, because
Hamidou Diallo. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, I get it, and I'm not questioning your Cubs loyalty.
Hey, at 11 o'clock at night, my teenage kid and me, both Cubs fans, jumping up and down and hugging in the living room.
There you go.
That will always,
sure,
always gets me a little misty thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. In the World Series, like you said, for so many franchises, baseball has,
And
I guess there's been a fair amount of parity, but, in the NBA, you're talking 7 champions in 7 seasons.
I know.
So that's pretty much an achievement, but just really a great time to celebrate. And I get it. And, it's one of those situations where, um, as you mentioned, I don't understand, and I know it's just trolls and such as that, but why all of the just vitriol and
So
all of the
okay,
hate?
yes, and it. Morning, Dan. How you doing? Let's see. Watching. I was on TikTok. Sorry, and some guy and I had to go to his profile, and the guy has like 1 million followers who's live streaming the draft, and OKC gets the 15th pick. What they took Thomas Sorber, the center from
Yeah,
Georgetown,
Georgetown.
who, man, he's going to slide right into that iHeart role when they can't afford iHeart anymore. He looks nasty, but he was just freaking out because OKC had a top 15 pick. It's like there's no information behind it. It's like, how do they do this? How do they even have a pick? They just won a championship. I mean,
He's
it is
apparently
like
not been
common
paid.
knowledge that Presti fleeced all these squads, especially the Clippers,
I
because
mean, that's
they,
somebody who obviously, I could not pay attention to the Thunder, and just by following any NBA amount on social media, I would know that Presti has ascertained or has obtained pick after pick after pick,
yeah,
just not only on the Paul George, trade, but others.
yeah. And I was about to throw my cousin Dennis jersey on for this pod this morning, but I didn't reach far enough back in the closet. But yeah, I mean, he got a first rounder for Dennis Schroeder. He got a handful of first rounders and pick swaps, and Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook. He got just that disgustingly insane haul that set the Clippers organization back a decade, and the MVP, Finals MVP,
Yeah, scoring leader.
possible face of the league for Paul George, who's now possibly on the trade block in Philly.
Yeah, third or
And
second, or would that be the third team since he left Oklahoma? Yeah, because he was at the Clippers.
he went to the Clippers and then they traded him to Philly, or he trade. I
Yeah,
think they traded him.
yeah,
I
I
don't
think so.
know.
But I'll
And
say this.
he
Go
was
ahead.
in the Harden deal. I guess they traded. No, Harden and him were on the same team last season, and then Paul George ended up in Philly,
Yeah.
and Paul gave the Thunder. I mean, Paul George gave the Thunder their flowers. He's
And that's
been
what
very
and that's what I was
complimentary of
going
the
to say.
city, the organization, the owner. How many players do you see talk positively about an owner?
Yeah.
You Clay Bennett must be a good dude. That's all I can say.
And he's had health problems, and Lord knows that when you're of an age and you're you know fighting health problems, you have maybe a little different perspective than you did at an earlier age. I don't know the intricacies, but I'll say this, as opposed to being like all of the haters on social media who just like to come at Oklahoma City, for no reason, for made up reasons, whatever. I will say this, I hope, and I think this is going on. If you're an Oklahoma City fan, there's no reason to bash Paul George. There's no reason to bash the original Big Three. I mean, you can bash Harden a little bit. But I know KD pulled some shenanigans, but who knows if you would be, he should have stayed, but
Oh
he
yeah,
didn't.
you think he
And
knows
who
that
knows what
now?
they would have gotten accomplished had he. I don't know that this happens. Maybe there's a chance. I don't know that this happens if he sticks around.
Can you imagine KD's legacy in this area had he won a championship with OKC?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because SGA is set. He'll never pay for another thing in OKC.
No.
Never.
The thing about KD is, you know, he didn't do what he's most known for until he arrived at a place where the deck was stacked.
Which is crazy. He goes to a 73 win team that had lost in the finals to, LeBron.
Yeah. And
And
decided we're not doing that again.
oh, I'm not getting double teamed because guys are worried about Clay and
Yeah.
Steph firing it up from 67 feet. It's it
But I
was
mean, none of the pieces, I mean, after that 2012 finals and Harden was there, what, one more year?
um
One or two at the most.
yeah, well,
They were fighting like dogs to get out of the first round or two with Memphis, and they were getting pushed around. And
that Memphis team was nasty.
they were. But in that, was it 2016 that they lost from behind or being ahead?
Came from ahead to lose.
Warriors.
Yes. Yes.
In that season, Jeremy, I mean, you look back, I mean, Westbrook was kind of losing some of his steam as far as I thought he was money in his first 4 or 5 years in the league, with his elbow jumper and the way he was able to do what he did. And obviously he continued a lot of that in his MVP season. But I guess I just look at it and say, you know, you're a great player. You'll be considered one of the all-time greats. No need to hate on him now. It's like when you break up with a girl and yeah, she may go on to do great things, but then you find someone you're happy with. Let him be. I mean,
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Let me ask you this: obviously you can rebuild after you've seen success, and obviously the ownership really liked what Sam Presti did in the first 4 or 5 years that the franchise was in Oklahoma City, because he was coming off of a rebuild in Seattle too.
Mm-hmm.
So having said that, if they do stick around, well, I let me rephrase my question. If they don't do what they did in the first 5 or 6 years in Oklahoma City, do you see what happened recently?
No, but all of this threads back. It's like if I had some yarn and pictures and conspiracy
Conspiracy
board
board.
behind me, all of the first pin and all the strings would be stuck right into a picture of Rashard Lewis, because he was the genesis. Without Rashard Lewis being traded,
Yeah.
there is no 2024-2025 OKC Thunder championship.
That might be a YouTube reel later.
I think that's where I saw it. But if you look at it, everything just kind of snowballed from there. But Presti, when he got to Oklahoma City, it was just a collection of talent.
So you're saying Rashard Lewis, he was traded for picks, obviously.
For picks.
Yeah. And this would have been the season before they moved to Oklahoma City?
Yes, I think one of those picks turned into Serge Ibaka, who turned into Victor Oladipo, and who turned into Domas Sabonis, who turned into Serge Ibaka, who turned into Victor Oladipo, and Domas Sabonis, who turned into Paul George.
Well, I think with Presti, no general manager bats 1,000. You're never draft picks, free agent. Look back at the Kevin Martin trade. Somewhere along the line you didn't realize
one-man point shaving scheme.
Yeah, somewhere along the line you didn't put it together that he was not all there. And he took heat. Think about it. He took heat for guys who went other places and kind of excelled.
And
Bonus, and then who else? I won't give him grief for Reggie Jackson, because I mean, you drafted
Reggie Jackson's
him.
just a turd.
Yeah, you drafted him, but and there's some first round picks that didn't pan out. But at the end of the day, I think if you don't hit with that original big three and make a finals run, ownership may not have the time clock set for you to last through some of the ups and downs like they have.
And early he collected enough talent, because let's be realistic about this. Those early Thunder teams were a collection of talent. They were not a constructed team.
Yeah.
They had,
but that's how the league was shaped back then.
I know. but it was a lot of your turn, my turn, hero ball. Parts didn't fit together. It was just like, oh yeah, we need someone to fill this spot. We'll just grab this guy. That's how you got Daquan Cook. That's how you got Anthony Morrow. And then they could
Anthony
never make
Morrow.
it. Yeah,
Wow.
they could never make it work with that.
Was Anthony Morrow a Hornet when
He
the
was
Hornets came here in 05, 06?
no, no,
No.
but he was a Charlotte Bobcat. If you remember the Charlotte Bobcats,
Okay.
that's where they plucked him from.
Okay. He wasn't. Was he ever with New Orleans?
I don't recall if he was.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, so I get where you're going with it, and it's all an interesting, um, it's all an interesting progression. Now you get to see what you can do when you're the hunted, and
Yeah.
when you are, when you are what everybody said you are.
Well, everyone said all year no one fears OKC. No one fears, they're ripping off double-digit wins at a, historic clip. The team was put together. I mean, this is the 1 seed last year, and they didn't make a splashy move. They went and got guys to fill roles. Their 2 acquisitions of the offseason were Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. That
Was
doesn't break his
Hartenstein
credit.
a free agent pickup?
He
Or
was.
yeah,
That was the free agent pickup.
yeah,
They said they overpaid for him. You know what? Larry O'Brien trophy tells me they paid just enough for him.
sure. Well, and like I said, going forward now, uh, Jeremy, with all this talk of aprons and parity in the league, and now I mean, even my Spurs are facing some pressure now because of what they had on the roster and who they picked up in the draft, and I hate pressure being placed upon rookies and young players, but the Thunder have kind of set the tone. I mean, you're talking about a core of players. Um, when you come down to J Dub and Chet Holmgren, who are what, in year 3,
Yep.
4. SGA's not been in the league forever. He's still
He's
young.
26. He's just entering his prime.
Yeah, a young team, progressing forward has now raised the bar for teams to say, I don't care that you're young. Look what other teams have done with young talent. Even Houston, falling out in the first round, they were the number 2 seed. They were a pretty young team as well.
Well, they just got a whole lot older.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
Well,
So
Bobby
my point
Marks
being is now going forward, the money is going to be free flowing out of the city of the Angels for sure.
Sure.
And I heard this on a talk show driving back from the officials versus. I went to the officials versus cancer golf scramble this morning and checked in with them, and we sponsored a hole there, and they're doing great work, having a great time golfing at Prairie West Golf Course in Weatherford today. But I was listening to a national guy, and he was talking about how the new ownership with the Lakers may look at trying to poach some GMs that are out there. If they don't do well with Palinka with Palinka calling the shots, and their player GM also, he threw out Sam Presti's name. And
everyone throws out Presti's name when it's time to hire a GM.
the thing about it is, I mean, you can only say, scared money don't make none. I heard it come from his lips. And, he would have money in his pocket and money at his disposal to do exactly whatever he wants. What's the percentage chances that Sam Presti gets poached by a wealthier franchise in the next 5 years?
20 to 30%.
20 to 30? Okay.
You got a guy who's built a roster and a culture around good people and loyalty. I don't know if it's in his DNA to do that.
Okay.
I mean, I hope not. I hope not.
I mean, we don't know these people personally, but you can judge them by their track records. I totally get that, and you're exactly right. I would say anywhere up to 35 or 40.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Knicks tried to poach him, and that's a wealthier franchise in a bigger market.
Well, and the example used was the Dodgers poaching the Tampa Bay GM, and him finally having the tools, and in the NBA it's different. I realize that you're gonna have players,
and Presti's not an old guy.
No.
Do you think, I mean, if this is what his culture has been built as, his loyalty, good people, family atmosphere, you think this guy is going to take a volatile situation, LA,
all I
over what he's got now, where, man, he doesn't have to, he could not do anything the rest of his career here and still cash checks.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well,
it's crazy to think about that could happen. God, man, I hope it doesn't, because I think he's finally hit it.
Well, and then also your coach. I mean, there's always going to be clamoring. There's always going to be offers. I hate to say the word tampering because it seems like that's saved itself for college football. But anyways, I don't know. Going into this offseason, it will be interesting. And the Thunder, didn't have a lot of time their scouting department and their general manager did not have a lot of time to celebrate.
Presti probably didn't sleep for a week.
He's probably crashed out right now.
The Sorber kid and then the Barnhart kid, Barnheiser from
Northwestern kid,
Northwestern, gritty guard from Northwestern who played with half his teeth knocked out. I guess he's a culture fit, so that's kind of what they look for.
Yeah. Well,
maybe he's a Caruso replacement when they can't afford Caruso anymore, but Caruso's locked up for a while, and Hartenstein's got 2 more years on his deal. And I had a point to make before we chased a rabbit. Bobby Marks, who is the front office insider for ESPN, working the NBA, he said that these people saying the Thunder are going to get taken out by the second Apron Reaper don't know what they're talking about. Because their role players are all locked in, and then you have the 3 that you have to pay, but they're only on their second extension, which is not anywhere near.
The 3 you have to pay are who? SGA?
SGA is going to get his extension, which
he'll be a supermax, right?
Word is he's not going to take all the money. That would be great. I'm not counting on that. But then you have J-Dub, who's he'll be on the hook after next year. Say they had the 5th year option, and then the extension would be year 6. So he's got 2 more years. And then Chet, we'll see where that is. But Dub will have a bigger extension because he was all NBA.
Sure.
And Chet hasn't done that yet, so his extension won't be as steep unless he does it next year. 3rd year leap, it could happen. We'll see. I'm sure Presti will figure it out. But as far as it stands right now, they're not in danger of that second apron, which, if you're a Thunder fan, man, that's awesome.
Sure. Yeah. Well, my San Antonio Spurs have received a lot of notoriety for their draft picks. They had 2 in the first round. Dylan Harper goes number 2, the guard from Rutgers. Rutgers wasn't a tournament team last year, Jeremy, but yet they had 2 go in the top 5.
That's crazy. That is nuts.
5 and get drafted, and they didn't win at all. So
that's like LSU being absolute dog water and Ben Simmons going in the top 5.
Carter Bryant, the Arizona small forward, who's considered to be a defensive whiz. And then their 38th pick was Cam Jones from Marquette, which I think could be traded.
Spurs had a really good draft, which I wouldn't expect anything else from that organization.
Well, you're picking in the top 15. I mean, I know there's stories about, there are guys who are second-round picks. There are guys who are undrafted free agents that make a mark in the league. I get that. But generally, if you're in the top 15, you should get somebody, unless you take a total flyer on a European that, you just have no real clue as to what they're going to do when they get here.
Right.
If a kid plays at least a season in college basketball, you should have enough to say, yes, he can come in and contribute.
Who was it that took the Chinese kid?
Oh, Hansen. He had his last name was Hansen, right?
I don't know. Well, I mean, he's actually a Chinese league player. They call
Yeah.
him Chinese Jokic.
Yeah.
But there were GMs like, we didn't know anything about this kid, didn't have him on our board. We don't know anything about him. I can't remember,
Yeah.
what was it, Sacramento?
It could have been. Let me
Which would be
effort
the
that. But
most Sacramento pick ever.
you're exactly right. And why not just close up shop and say we'd like to move to Las Vegas. Just get Vegas an NBA team. It would just make so much more sense.
Yeah, Sacramento's that in California, and you can't have success. It's weird.
I think there's levels of California, though. I mean, I think Sacramento, who I feel oddly sad for, and I never did in the '80s, is Danny Ainge, and that guy.
Well, everything he touched when he was in Boston, I mean, he fleeced Brooklyn, sent them all those old guys for all those picks, and then built a championship roster. But they won.
They draft Ace Bailey, and he may just not show up.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go to Utah.
Yeah, and
if I was a young African American player, that might not be the place I'd want to go either.
I mean, the Jazz faithful have not endeared themselves to players of African American descent or African descent. Something they need to work on. But man, sure, a lot of boo-hooing on Thursday night with the draft.
They should have an online course attached to the season ticket application, racial sensitivity training.
Hey, if you have to do it to be a broadcaster in the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Athletic Association, you should have to do it as a Jazz fan.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm trying to find the NBA draft list.
Let's see if I can pull that up real quick. I go to the Evil Four Letter has it on the main page still. All right.
Cooper Flag to the Mavs. Mavs Nation is super hyped up. I get that.
Yang Hansen.
Yang, that's what it was.
So the Grizzlies drafted him, traded him to the Trailblazers. So it's Portland.
Yeah. Well,
they have a lot of Chinese population in Portland trying to get butts in seats.
Good for Hansen. The draft, the NBA draft, to me, Jeremy, is totally a totally different vibe than the NFL, because
it seems like
they're not nearly as close to the vest as the NFL is.
Well, you get past the top 15 and it seems like teams are just picking guys.
Yeah, but all the guys seem to all be there knowing they're going to get picked.
That's true. But I mean, there's only 2 rounds.
I know, but I'm just saying.
And you get a trip to lovely Brooklyn, New York.
The kid from Auburn, Broom, he went 35th.
Yeah, that was. And I was watching highlights of him last night. They played Iowa State in like a high school gym, it looked like. And he's a good player, and he goes 35th.
Yeah,
but I mean, Draymond Green was a second rounder. Nikola Jokic. I'm sorry, I led with Draymond. Nikola Jokic was a second rounder, 41st overall, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
But the guy I want to talk about is Danny Wolf, the forward from Michigan.
Okay.
Did you see that?
Inform me. Sorry.
Well, him and his brother and his parents were there, and the kid's brother, Wolf gets drafted by Brooklyn, and he got drafted by Houston, but was traded to Brooklyn immediately, or maybe the trade came through first. He had a Brooklyn hat on, so I don't know how it works, because some guys get drafted by one organization and immediately traded, and then you see them on the podium with the team that drafted them, but they're being traded over here. They know they're being traded over here, but they're still forced to wear the hat of the team that drafted them. Don't know why. It's like when you see those weird pictures of Kobe Bryant with the Hornets hat on at the draft. Anyways, to my point, this kid gets drafted. They pan over to his brother, and his brother is just, bawling, just so happy for his brother. But they keep the camera on this kid, and I can't help but
What was the
notice
name?
Danny Wolf.
Danny Wolf.
And
Where
pull
was
up a
he?
picture of this kid.
What spot was he drafted? Because I'm not.
He was drafted 27th overall.
Oh, Danny Wolf, Michigan. Okay.
Pull up a picture of the kid. But
Yeah.
anyways, and you'll notice the distinguishing feature which I'm referring to.
He's
Because
white.
just not that.
What?
Middle of the face. He looks like Squidward. I'm sorry. I'm mean. But the thing is, Dad, same,
you said it.
Dad, same nose. Brother, same nose.
Yeah.
Mom's genes didn't even try, because mom is like normal, But all three of them, all three. Yeah, he has got a good handle, and he can't shoot the ball. Watched him play against Oklahoma when Oklahoma beat him. But yeah, the kid's a good player. I mean, he went in the first round.
Well,
Brooklyn had a weird draft where they drafted a point guard that can't shoot. They drafted 2 point guards in the first round. They drafted the Israeli kid Ben Saraf, who is the point guard that doesn't shoot the ball particularly well.
mm-hmm.
They drafted Nolan Traore, a guard from France. They had five ones. They drafted Igor Demon, a guard from BYU.
Did you see Malika Andrews call Cedric Colin Coward?
I did not.
Yeah, the Trailblazers drafted Cedric Coward from Washington State, then traded him to Memphis. But Malika,
and I want to thank you.
And hey, it's a slip. I mean, Coward on the brain, whatever. But she did call him Colin Coward.
That's great. I would love to thank the NFL for popularizing this multi-night draft. The NBA does not need a 2-night draft.
No,
you know what the ratings probably were for round 2? I guarantee you, like 3 people watched that, and they're probably degenerate gamblers.
There's no sense in that. And speaking of degenerate gamblers, I think that's a lot of the hate fuel coming from social media about teams like the Thunder. But that's another subject. Trey Johnson and Jeremiah Fears, newcomers to the SEC, two top 10 picks from the Southeastern Conference, Oklahoma and Texas, the newest members.
Did you see the player comp for Fears?
Who?
Kyrie Irving.
I might have seen that. Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to throw stuff out. Trey Johnson gets to go to DC, and Jeremiah Fears gets to go to the Big Easy. Mock drafts I had seen up until the night of, and I guess it was because the Spurs didn't go with Ace Bailey or whatever. It kind of changed the pecking order, but I had seen Fears going at number 5 to Utah.
That probably would have been a good fit for Fears.
Sorry, would have been what?
A good fit for Fears, but
New
Orleans is in a perpetual rebuild, so
he gets to play with Zion 24 games a year now.
24, man, he's going to hit his career high this year.
He's going to be really healthy.
They need to keep, man. Zion, poor Zion. If you got a weight problem and you like to eat, man, there is no worse place to be than New Orleans.
Oh yeah,
down there getting that boudin.
Yeah, I mean, I fight my weight to the point to where, like, my wife's like, no, we're not gonna vacation or do any. We're not gonna visit New Orleans.
Like, they got to put a picture of him on the wall at Cafe Du Monde and say, "Do not allow this man on premises."
My wife knows I can come back, with type 2 diabetes and a cardiac arrest on tap.
Have you ever been to New Orleans?
Never been there.
Oh man, you should go just to go.
I know. I want to go and eat.
Yeah, go to Cafe Du Monde in the morning and have coffee and beignets.
Sure.
You feel horrible afterwards, but man, it's so worth it.
Sounds awesome. Dan Narva did comment on the Squidward player from Michigan. Tall dude, could handle the ball and shoot. That's what I was going to lead into, Jeremy, as we kind of wrap up this draft stuff. So the Lakers picked – who was it they picked? So the Thunder traded their 24 pick to the Kings. Nick Clifford.
Neek.
Neek.
He's named after Dominique Wilkins.
There you go.
So you want the Lakers pick?
Yeah, who was it? I'm trying to find. I've
I'm looking.
listened to some talk about him.
I don't think they had a first
No, they
round pick,
didn't, but they
but
picked somebody up.
Dang it. I've got my glasses on, so this should be relatively easy. Hang on. They traded somebody. Austin Reeves opted out of his declined his extension.
I saw that.
So I
And so
guess
he
he
wants to
doesn't
try to go Uncle Schroeder way and make
bet
more
on
next year.
himself. Yeah, good for him.
Good luck
I
with
wouldn't
that.
want to be a part of that circus either.
But no, so it was Adu Thiero, the Arkansas player. That's who it was.
Okay, that was a second rounder.
Yeah, he's second rounder, but he's 6'8", and they're talking about the athleticism and things. I'm going to tell you something, Jeremy. We are coming to a time, and I don't know if it's human evolution. I don't know if it's what it is, but we're coming to a time where the small forward, if they're anything below 6'7", they're going to be a no show. I mean, you better be a point guard if you're 6'4", 6'5", because the athleticism. I mean, and you kind of saw it with Pascal Siakam in the finals. He's what, 6'8", and 6'8" dudes in essence are playing like 6'10" dudes anymore. I mean, and it's crazy to see that. If you're 6'3", 6'4", you better handle the rock and be able to get in and out of pressure, because you're not gonna contribute anything on the boards.
I would postulate if you're anything up to 6'7", you better be able to handle the ball.
Shea is 6'6",
unless you're Julius Randle, who dubious handle cannot handle the ball at all.
What's Shea, 6'6"?
Shea is 6'6", yes.
And J Dub's what, 6'7"?
He's listed 6'7". He's probably 6'4", 6'5".
Either way, it's just coming up to a time where the small, what people call a small lineup, is going to be like four guys that are 6'9". I mean,
well, Lou Dort's 6'3" on his best day.
Yeah,
and that's probably standing on a phone book.
Yeah.
And he's just trunky and can irritate people.
I mean, be stout for one thing.
Yeah.
Dan Narvis says his brother got married in New Orleans. He visited earlier when he was fishing up at LSU. It's so odd that Dan's from Michigan and has a brother who's an LSU grad. To me,
I know it's a national brand. People come from all over. Side by side of Wolf and Squidward and Messenger, and I couldn't paste it here.
We're not going there, Dan.
Oh, Square. Oh.
No. So anyways, the draft, there'll be a lot of analysis, and I'll say this about the coverage of the draft. Man, for all the years that I just couldn't stand Jay Billis, things have gotten so bad in the broadcasting world that now he's kind of a breath of fresh air.
Especially on that network.
Yes.
I just cannot wait to hear the NBA on NBC theme and, not have to hear Doris Burke call basketball games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Richard Jefferson.
Well, and the question is like, yeah, Richard's got to work, man. He's got to figure something out. But I saw some articles saying, the ESPN's bankrolled too much into Stephen A. Smith for their NBA coverage. Step it back on him. If you say that, you can kind of say the same thing about Perk.
That's ludicrous. That's preposterous.
It's like listening to Johnny Child or Jackie Child.
Jackie Childs, yes.
Okay, so let's get out of the NBA because I'm about lost, But congratulations to the Thunder. Congratulations to my Spurs for winning the draft. And congratulations to the Mavericks for drafting either the next generational talent or just another dude. I don't know.
The first American-born white player to be drafted number one since, man, I can't even remember his name. It wasn't Larry. It was in 1978, but I can't remember what the
Is that
guy's name was.
Jack Sigma?
No, it wasn't Sigma. Sigma. Oh man, let's see.
Scott Wedman?
No, it was it was someone I'd never heard of. I'll pull that up.
Yeah.
Go off.
Michael Busso checking in. Good morning, Boos. And so anyways, yeah, draft there'll be a whole lot more to see. And you know, the funny thing, Jeremy's the NBA season's just 2.5 months away.
I know. October, we're kicking it off again. Here we go.
So
yes.
Okay. I thought you were going to come up with something. Did you see the Justin Tucker settlement?
He had a settlement.
Well, he's accepted. He wrote this big long response, or his representative wrote this big long response.
Okay, I'm sorry. Kent Benson.
Oh
1977.
Was that Detroit?
That would have been Milwaukee.
From
Indiana.
Okay, Kent Ben. I remember the name. You know, it's funny.
Bernard King was in that draft. Sigma went 8th overall to the Sonics.
Yeah. Oh, and a little cry harder award to all the Seattle fans out there.
Yeah, should have built an arena.
Yeah, build an arena, you'd have a team.
OKC's got an arena and the team locked up for 53 years.
Boy, no kidding. That is big. What was I going to say? I got diverted. Sorry. Anyways, thanks, Michael Busso, for checking in. And so I read the Justin Tucker statement from his representative. And if you're accused of the things that Justin Tucker is accused of, basically, you know, the same, he's Deshaun Watson part due with the massage therapist, apparently, allegedly.
Longhorn.
Allegedly, hook him. His representative puts out a statement saying, you know, we're going to accept the suspension and the punishment, and so that we can put this matter behind us. You know, does an innocent person do anything close to that?
No, you fight until your last breath.
I mean, an innocent person probably doesn't have the allegations come out, right?
Right. Yeah. You know, you don't put yourself in that situation to begin with, which is just no, that's nuts.
Because I haven't had a massage in probably 15 or 20 years. But I would imagine now with technology advancements that if you go into a massage session, there's going to be footage.
Right.
There's going to be, I mean, I know they don't want to be filming you know, in the buff, but there's going to be footage showing as to whether or not you did something.
Yes. The burden. Yes. Proof of appropriateness.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that our good friend Dean Lindsay at Stretch of Norman, you know, he has cameras in his location. Nobody's taking off any clothes. But when you're a practitioner who touches other people, you want to safeguard yourself from unwarranted allegations. So if these people came forward against Justin Tucker like they did against Deshaun Watson, they had the goods on him, right?
I would bet, yes.
Yeah. Well, the talk after the talk in the comments after the statement by Justin Tucker, and you know, great kicker, amazing.
Oh yeah,
probably Hall of Fame kicker.
I don't think anybody's ever had that kind of range.
No. Somebody said he's an automatic to the Browns now.
Yes, let's do it.
What I was going to say about Kent Benson is, you know, what's funny is as I was coming up as a kid and first getting my interest in basketball, you noticed how the white guys did stick out more.
Mm-hmm.
Kent Benson was one, and Dan will probably chime in here also. Kiki Vandeweghe with the Nuggets. Dan Issel, I remember him because he looked 52 and he had no front teeth during the game. Kelly Tripucka with Detroit, Jack Sigma, and then Bill Walton with the Blazers, you know, and then Bird comes in and tops all white guys.
Coldest white boy of them all.
Yeah. But that team had a fair share of white dudes. I mean, McHale,
What
Ainge, you know,
what was oh my gosh. He's a coach now. He was at New Mexico. He coached the
Steve Alford.
Steve Alford. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
With the
Yeah,
Farrah Fawcett haircut.
yeah. He had the best feather job in the National Collegiate Association of Athletics for sure.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was 76 Indiana that went undefeated. Dan.
we need
And the
Steely on here.
I was about to mention that. The one reason I have 76 Indiana on the brain is because Mike Steely.
Yeah, yeah. 76 Indiana. It's always thrown out there.
And his fever dreams of 76 into Indiana. Plus
Tom
Van
Chambers,
Arsdale, Tom and Dick, Tom Chambers.
Tom Van Arsdale. That's a name beyond me. I mean, that's
But then we had the European invasion of European white guys.
Detlef Shrimp, Uwe Blob. I shared a post on the Facebook page at Law Dog Sports of a page that will find just general roster picks, and one was the 86-87 Dallas Mavericks and Roy Tarpley, Uwe Blob, Rolando Blackman, I think Aguirre, and Brad Davis. And that was some quality Mavs playing back then. All right, so Justin Tucker, scumbag, he'll end up with the Browns, but heck of a boot on the guy. Did you check out this article by and we've had him? I know I've interviewed him back in our Corey Hogue days, our Unholy Triumvirate days. Shahan Jarija, college football writer, wrote a big article, and I've got to check it out. I just haven't had a chance, but apparently, Texas Tech is getting a lot of pub, and is that just to be expected with the money being spent and the money being collected?
Yes. And if it's a failure, it will be one of the most epic failures ever.
But I mean, they've got a good coach. They have to have a good infrastructure. It's just, it's always that contention. Can you get kids to come to Lubbock?
Lubbock's a tough sell.
Yeah. Like Manhattan used to be. But
right. Yeah. It's a tough sell. You're in a weird spot. You're out in the middle of the dang desert. I guess you can, make a day trip across the border and do that. But that SOB Tucker.
If I were a coach of any sport at Texas Tech, we would make the yearly trip to Portales, New Mexico for the green chili roasting.
There you go. Dan Narva's chiming in that SOB Tucker beat the Lions with the 66-yarder. Yeah, Dan, but he has not been the same since Travis Kelce threw his helmet.
Yeah.
That was the jumping off point of the decline.
Did you see Jason Kelce showing his new bod off in a Speedo the other day?
No.
I have the misfortune of usually getting my afternoon nap time during the Inside Edition at 3:30.
Uh-huh.
And they ran that, and I just happened to kind of come out of a snooze when that was coming on. I was like, whoa, there's Jason Kelce's ass.
So is he on the Ozempics?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, isn't anybody who drops a lot of weight anymore?
I guess so.
But, hey, here's the thing. A lot of those linemen, when they get back to reality and say, I
don't
can't
need to be 330 anymore.
Can't eat like that anymore. Who's the guy that was the Hall of Famer for Cleveland? Joe Thomas?
Joe Thomas. Yeah, he got ripped.
Yeah, he shrunk down. So,
well, these guys are athletes, and they're still young when they get out of the league. You can't be like Nate Newton and just, I think Nate Newton ballooned up to 400 pounds and then had some legal troubles. But,
Nate Newton was on the Devil's Lettuce pretty hard, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was arrested with a van full of it.
Well, it gives you the munchies, I heard.
But, these guys are still young. They want to, they don't want to die when they're 50.
No. And really, you carry around all that weight. Of course, I'll tell you this much: your buddy Creed Humphrey, I don't see him ever being a trim guy.
No, he likes the beers too much.
Well, good for him. The Rocket Classic being played today up at North Course, Michigan, and we tried to get Dan Narva to go over there and be a correspondent for us. He wasn't up for it, so thanks a lot, Dan. But I was checking, and as of day one, our friend Quade Cummins from Weatherford, Oklahoma, was tied. Here's what's great about golf, Jeremy. He was tied for 87th at 2 under.
Yeah.
The leader was 10 under. So
is that one of those courses where the winner's going to be at like 30 under?
I don't know. I'm going to have to check it out today, but we'll be rooting on for Quade Cummins to have a great day today, make the cut, and move up the leaderboard, hopefully. Still several have not teed off yet. Trying to see where.
I'm trying to pull up that leaderboard.
So he hasn't teed off yet. Quade Cummins tees off today at 1 o'clock. I'm guessing, is Michigan Eastern time?
Michigan, I think they're still in Central.
Okay, so
Aldrich Potgeider is in the lead at 12 under. So, man, 10 shots back on day 2.
So a couple of guys start out strong, and that drops Quade down to tied for 105th. But he tees off at 1 o'clock. But that's the thing. You're 2 under. I mean, you just got to get out there and have a good day, and hopefully we'll see Quade Cummins make the cut and be playing on Saturday and Sunday.
Hideki Matsuyama hit two of the best shots I've ever seen yesterday.
Yeah,
he chipped in for I want to say it was an eagle, and then he just drains one from about 160 out with an 8-iron.
Oh man,
just jarred it.
You know what I go to? You know where I'm going because the guys I golf with, this is how weak my game is, Jeremy. The guys I golf with all have really good range finders, so they've got it set for the holes. So Dan Narva says they are Eastern time, so that means
part of Michigan and Central.
It would have to be the Upper Peninsula, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they would be in Eastern time.
Yeah. But anyways, so the rangefinders, and we'll, if we're on a par 5 and, it's 140 out, on the second or third shot, basically, I think about 140 out. I don't anything over 90 yards. I'm going to 8-iron generally, just so I know I'll get there. And then if it's over 120, I've got a 5 hybrid that I'll use on those. I'm not taking a chance of shorting it, with a high club.
That's a nice smooth 9-iron, Chuck.
140 is?
Yeah.
Well, then I got to get to the driving range.
Maybe pitching wedge.
Pitching wedge from 140.
Yeah.
That's something that's in your wheelhouse.
Well, I mean, it was when I could play.
Okay. All right. Well, kudos to you, brother. You're, that's.
Before I got married, I spent a lot of time on a golf course.
Okay.
And that's, Western Upper Peninsula is on Central. Okay. All right.
So I guess I'm going to put out the plead, and we had Kenny McGuire on here. Saw that he was watching earlier. Kenny, help a brother out, help me get to that point to where when it's 120, I'm thinking potentially pitching wedge, because
you should be able to, if it's a flexibility thing, if you've got good flexibility, you can generate that club head speed and you can get through the ball. You got to hit down on it.
I'll get out to the driving range this week and see. When you go to a driving range and you see, I don't know.
I got them old baseball hands, man. So, I can get that club from point A to point B pretty quick.
Well, kudos to you, man. I don't remember what we were doing predominantly the one time we've golfed together, but
struggling mightily.
Yeah. But that's typical for me. But I just, I just don't. And here's another thing: a par 3 that's anything over 120. Just so I don't have to jack around and look stupid, I go with my 4-wood and I don't try to kill it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a 4-wood off it. Now at Romano's, there's a couple of par 3s that I'll go pitching wedge.
I think when we played, I was predominantly hitting 5-iron off the tee because I couldn't keep my driver in play.
Wow. Yeah. I gotta get to a physical therapist or something. Maybe I need to get in and see Dean Lindsay, because
what you need to do is watch a million videos of how Freddie Couples swings a golf club. If you
Really?
watch him, his back never turns.
Yeah.
He is all just easy power. He doesn't hit it a long ways, but he hits it far enough.
Well,
easy power, flexibility.
Send me your golf exercises to the website, lawdogsports.com. Just go down to the leave a comment section and tell the Law Dog what he needs to do to extend his game, because right now, I just figure right now, and I hate to say this because within the last month I golfed with a gentleman who's 86 who was hitting it farther than me. But I have to think my game right now is probably in the upper 80s, and I don't mean score wise. I'm talking age.
Yeah, if I had the time, I would be just at the range doing drills.
Yeah, I guess
whacking balls.
Have to get out there and get it figured out, and I'd love to.
And before I stopped playing, I took a lesson or two over just at Westwood just to get something on tape.
Yeah,
and that's how I figured my driver out. I just had someone video it. It's like, hey, this, your hips are bailing before your hands are coming through. Just time. It's timing.
Yeah.
And after that, man, I was straight, little draw, hitting that driver well, set it up right. Having another set of eyes on you would be, I would advocate for anybody taking a lesson or two.
Yeah, and that's
if you're going to do it, you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a lot funner to hit good shots for sure.
It is.
Hey, mystery here that I've got to be solved as we work our way out of here. You shared a post on Twitter last night, Twitter X, of the bobblehead night coming up at the New York at Yankee Stadium in August, of the George Costanza. It's Seinfeld night, and it was a bobblehead of the George Costanza desk, which he had fashioned for facilitation of naps when he worked for the Yankees, which I think Steinbrenner destroyed with a robotic
bomb robot. Yeah.
And my favorite line of all Seinfeld's is in that episode.
What's that?
When the robot, when the robot zooms in and George's Godzilla doll is up on the desk. What is that? Is that Mothra? and then when they open the drawer and it's an issue of Playboy with Elle Macpherson on the front and a Clark bar, and he goes, and it's Larry David doing the Steinbrenner voice. He goes, just empty calories and male curiosity, eh, Georgie? And also when George is under the desk and Steinbrenner's got his grandkids in there, he's like, Heartbreaker, Studebaker. That is one of the classic episodes. But
that was peak Seinfeld.
So the mystery to me is, Jeremy, you share that, I click on it, it's gone.
Yeah.
So did somebody hack the MLB Twitter account? And
I don't know. How awesome would that be, though?
That was the best looking bobblehead I've ever seen.
I know. And I can't even find it right now. I should have screenshotted it.
I did. I screenshotted it.
Okay. Because only thing I pull up is George with the Thunder hat on saying, got to focus on shifting into draft mode.
Yeah. So I did screenshot it, and it's on my phone. So, we'll have that for preservation. But man, what an amazing concept. Whoever jokingly came up with that, the people actually in charge should jump on that and get it going.
Oh, that'd be so amazing. But logistically, it'd probably be impossible.
Baseball, we will focus more on baseball in the upcoming weeks now that we are out of basketball swing. And then also, before long, Jeremy, it's going to be SEC Media Days and Big 12 Media Days coming up. It's interesting. Starting tomorrow, it's the dead period for high school sports in the state of Oklahoma. So yours truly, we're going to try to focus and bring more high school Western Oklahoma sports to you on Wednesdays. Myself and Luke Clement going to try to make a run at really getting more content out for Western Oklahoma sports on this channel. But having said that, baseball is in full swing. I think the other night was the legitimate and actual halfway mark of the season. I know it was for the Rangers. Rangers kind of sitting there one game under 500. Their offense has struggled, but man, they had a great outing from Jacob deGrom the other night. He almost had a perfect game and almost had a no-hitter as well. Both of them got broken up late. And then, so they're going to try to make a run. We're going to have John Moore on next week. He was busy this week. He's doing so much with covering minor league stuff. And I know we've got some fans of the show here who love to talk baseball and love to talk Rangers. So we will get you John Moore on here pretty quick, and hopefully it will be next week, as he said he would reach out to me. But I want to remind people that, and I know our fans know this, you can go back and watch any of our episodes, anything that we've put out at your convenience on our YouTube channel at Law Dog Sports. And then also, please subscribe. And then also, we're putting our podcast up on Spotify, which I found out Jeremy subsequently uploads into iHeart Music, or iHeart, the iHeart podcast app. And then also, I think maybe still Amazon. I'm not certain, but basically, I think the Spotify move was fine. SoundCloud, we weren't getting much traction from that, and we'll try to promote the Spotify podcasts for the people who don't want to look at us but want to hear us.
Why would they not want to look at us, Chuck?
I know it. Got the oily bohunk across the way from me. But baseball is on tap in a big series in Arlington this week as the Mariners come to Globe Life Field, and that will be a fun one. I've been listening to I've been sitting in my garage this week, Jeremy, listening to the radio broadcast on my Alexa that I have in the garage, and getting the old feel of the radio. And man, it's tough listening to Rangers baseball on the radio and not think about KSEY.
No kidding. You got a air conditioner in your garage, or you just
go out and do my chores. And I mowed last night, and we got just enough sprinkles to make it wet and sticky. So I had to mow the backyard twice. Had to set it at a 5 the first go, and then knock it back down to the regular 4 without making hay bales.
This is the old man talk portion of the show.
Yeah. I'll show you how to set a fire too.
Well, man, it rained so much here that and I couldn't get out and mow the yard. I had to hire it out.
Man, I'm telling you, and honestly, in full transparency, Jeremy, out here in Western Oklahoma, our lot that we have our house on is the largest we've had in the time that my bride and I have been together. And it's come time where I may just have to hire it out for the rest of the season. But I mean, then you got to deal with moving pets around and stuff. But I think I'm just going to have to just bear down and go buy a 0 turn.
You may have to.
I mean, we have that much yard. It's got to be half an acre close to somewhere.
I mean, my yard's not overly large, but I find that I don't have a lot of time anymore.
No. When you're dealing with some issues this week too.
But he did a great job. He did a better job than I normally do. So
buddy, when we lived in Norman, just around the corner from you, kinda, as much as anything, it was a pride thing that we hired it out because they did it so quick and made it look so good. And I hate to admit this, but we even back in those days when I was working, we even paid for the landscaping to be done by that gentleman, and he did an amazing job with it too. So, but that's just one of the things, and so I get done with my mowing and I go sit in the garage and listen to Matt Hicks on the road. And so anyways, Dan Narva, final check-in for him. Wife has been on me to get a 0 turn. I'm too cheap. We have 2 acres. With 2 acres, I would go 0 turn. And
that would save you a lot of time.
Oh yeah. I mean, because I see the people in our town who've stuck it out with the old traditional riding mower, and the look on their face is just, of course, I'm using a push mower, but
now wait a second, Dan, I take exception to this. Your wife is on you about spending money on something cool and
helpful.
Just do it, man.
Yeah.
Just do it. How often is she going to be like, oh yeah, you should definitely do that?
Oh yeah, take advantage
I
of
know
that.
my wife would be like, no, you don't need that.
Why do we need this? You have a push mower.
Yeah. Go out there and sweat and die in the yard. I don't
Yeah,
care.
exactly. All right, we better start making our way out of here. But he is Jeremy Schroeder, ruler of the airways. I'm Chuck Ramsey, the Law Dog. This has been the Weekend Big Show. And Dan getting one last shot in. Standard of living's definitely gone up since we moved in. Always does. But anyways, Jeremy, have a great weekend. Hope you find some relief from your current affliction and enjoy some sort of sports or some sort of recreation with your family. And we'll be saying more prayers for you that this passes over quickly.
I appreciate that. You have a great weekend, and we will talk soon.
Yeah, we will. And like I said, we'll be looking forward to getting John Moore on the show hopefully next week and talking Rangers baseball as well as other things. Go Rangers, go Cubs, and a lot of fun still to have. And football's just around the corner. Marty Wandry mentioned that after the finals matchup.
Yeah, and football time.
Yep. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate everybody who jumped in and commented and viewed and liked, and please do so. Also go to our Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter X at Law Dog Sports. Give us a like, give us a follow, and then also subscribe to our Spotify channel and our YouTube channel. You can find all of our content there. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there. Don't text and drive, and sure don't drink and drive. And we'll talk to you real soon.